Lord of the Rings on acid.
Hey everyone, welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. Post 3 videos a week, so go ahead and subscribe. Check out AsArt.space for all the audio and video links. We are in part 3 of our ongoing Lord of the Rings live action animated, not versus, but more comparison.
Yes.
And this is probably one of my favorite ones. When I think back on that film, these are the scenes that I remember.
Yes.
And we're talking. Nick
Nightmares.
pointed out, he's like, John, is the one ring laced with acid on the inside? Because whenever Frodo puts on that ring, you're getting some funky stuff happening.
Or it's like After Effects too. Maybe it was on the dagger too when he gets stabbed, and it's like
Yeah,
really
he's
in his
like,
system.
"Ooh."
It's like an overload. You know what I mean?
It's a poison blade with poison mushrooms. When I think back,
Okay.
we're sorry, but if you haven't seen it, once you watch it, you will just start laughing.
Yes.
But this is what I think of when I remember this animated film is just when they're in the ring world.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this inverse looking camera thing that they did in the live action, which I didn't like at first when I saw the live action, but I've gotten to like it a little bit more. But I just think it's an interesting thing where you're in
It's
a
like a
completely
vacuum.
different place. Yeah, it's like a vacuum. You have this like displacement. But in this, it's like a whole different world. It's almost like you went to Mars all of a sudden. Yeah. But you get this crazy lightning and these weird hills, and they're just running on the sky, and it is just so weird. And from a cinematography standpoint, they linger on shots.
Oh
for
my
so
gosh, they just spent forever. If you compare it, it's like 4 times as long as the chase sequence in the longer, bigger movie.
Longer than that. I mean, they're not even moving. They'll cut to the Nazgul guy, his horse is just moving. They'll cut to Frodo, the horse is just moving. And just back and forth 5 or 6 times, and nothing's really happening. And it's like animation, you think there would be no filler content whatsoever because you have to animate every frame, but it almost feels like filler content. And I was just like,
which is weird because there's so much content in these books to fill with information. Oh man.
And part of me wonders, did they somewhat recycle frames? And obviously the Nazgul, they're doing more. That's a person on a horse that's not as animated as Frodo. And part of me is thinking, to get it to a feature length runtime, are we having to kind of recycle frames to get it to be long? And obviously I don't know, but it seems so abnormally long. You could say from a storytelling standpoint, maybe they're trying to build friction and tension on having this kind of standoff, because like you said, when the Nazgul walk into town, they do it more in a Western style where they just kind of mosey on in, cowboy.
Yep.
And here they're kind of having this standoff, but at least for modern movie making now, it seems like it's very slow. But even a Western film doesn't seem that slow. I mean,
I know.
it's very, very, very.
And I think what it was just the repeating the same shot over and over again with no action happening.
Over and over
like,
again.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
At least have like a different thing where he's like falling off the horse and he's like trying to get back on, or do something where it's more like, I mean, they do have that one sequence kind of when the horse, goes down and they get back up, but it's just like, what is he doing too? He had like force powers all of a sudden.
That's what I loved. I'm like, man, talk about the Darth, not the Darth Vader force choke. It's the Nazgul dark choke. I don't even know. I was trying to think of a clever name. I couldn't think of anything, but he did it twice. He choked the horse and then he just took him off his horse. So it's pretty funny.
Then what would you think of Aragorn? So like last episode, we talked about how easy he defeats them with 2 little things of fire. This time Aragorn like runs up to them with the horse and he's like, "Ah!"
Fly.
Yeah, he just got his fall looks it's such a theatrical fall. Yeah, and he makes a weird sound, huh? He does make that sound. Yeah, it's really kind of funny, and but again, they don't have the luxury of the Mandalorian working on a virtual stage. He's just like, all right, one, I'm probably going in close contact with a real horse for animation reference. And 2, I have to get across that I'm being thrown back without even getting really thrown back. So it doesn't look great, but you have to feel for these people, what they probably had to do on what is probably a lower budget.
So were you happy with the live action changes to this version? Like, are you happy with like a real chase sequence with the horse, or did you kind of prefer the animations where it's just like, like you're in space and everything echoes. Like you're.
I mean, definitely. I mean, it's not even a preference. It's just the cuts and the angles are much more dynamic, and the music, obviously, we say every time. I mean, it's just a much more dynamic cut in the live action. I mean, did it need to be Arwen and Liv Tyler that they, magnified that relationship and her role? Not necessarily. But you know what? I forgot in the animated film if they explain where the water,
Oh yeah, with Gandalf and all that stuff. Mm-hmm.
That was Gandalf, right? But
it's a mixture of Gandalf magic and Elrond's magic. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the live action, they make it seem like it's Arwen. I mean, she's probably like, kind of talking to them or something. I don't know. I'm just making up bro science stuff here. But
talk about how like the movie elevates stuff. What about the eagle sequence on the top of the tower?
That's, you know what? I love the eagles in the live action. And if you guys have never seen the Michael Whalen painting of Return of the King, it's this beautiful, beautiful painting. The live action Return of the King almost takes it 1-to-1 from this painting. Did we ever include that in a video? I think I sent you the still, but I'm not sure if we ever included it.
I can include in this one.
Michael Whalen. Yeah, just look up Michael Whalen, Lord of the Rings paintings. And there's this one where Frodo and Sam are on this small little kind of dried lava mound, and the lava's coming down, and the eagles are coming from the back. And it's just one of the most beautiful shots in Return of the King as well. And it's just such a cool, dynamic shot in the Two Towers as well, because he whispered to this moth, and then you just see Gandalf this close up, and then he just runs and jumps, and you're like, does Gandalf have a bat suit? What's he gonna do? And then just the eagle catches up. It's just such a cool shot, and
that was such a cool shot. Cool. Yeah. Really cool.
But the eagle looked. I like the tinting and the color of the eagle. Oh yeah, that was cool. In the animated one as well. It's just not dynamic.
I love how he just comes and grabs him by the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
but that's exactly what they did in the Hobbit animated film too, right? They just came and picked him up, right? They didn't even jump on him, right? In the Hobbit animated.
I guess you're right. No, I think you're right. Yeah, because they're like in
or
the
least
lakes.
A number of them.
I think they're like in the lakes and stuff like that. Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
No, they're in the trees. They're in trees.
Yes,
come pick
but then
they
grab them and then they're stuck in the talons. The talons, I guess.
Talons. Ooh, good words.
So let's jump to map painting of Rivendell. Let's compare.
Yes.
The animated one looks so dingy and like almost looks like you're going to a bad guy's hideout, or like you know what I mean, or something like that. It doesn't even look like elves even built this thing. It just looked like it was hit by a tornado, or you know what I mean, like it's so dark too with the coloring and all that stuff. And
it's and this is interesting because we were just talking about in the Mandalorian Unreal Engine episode we were talking about how when someone reads something, everybody has a different take and a different look. And I think the general, if you've read Lord of the Rings, the general idea is Galadriel is this magnificent, creature, woman, elf. She has this, majesty to her. But in The Hobbit, you see the wood elves depicted very, they look almost like monsters a little bit. And then in Lord of the Rings, in the animated one, they're depicted very different. Whereas obviously in Lord of the Rings, we're used to the live action, they're depicted as very majestic, very beautiful,
Orlando
high
Bloom.
Fantasy. Orlando. One of the funniest descriptions I ever heard of, because they're talking about the movies that Orlando Bloom has been in with people. Orlando Bloom was in Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp, and Orlando Bloom's like the clean hunk, and Johnny Depp is like the rugged hunk, and then he's in Troy with Brad Pitt, who is the hunk. It's just hilarious. But yeah, Legolas, he definitely has this kind of feminine quality, but very much the elvish look for this series. Yeah,
and it was fun seeing Legolas too in this one clip.
And it was funny seeing Agent Smith as a high elf too. At first, that threw me off a lot because it's like, Mr. Anderson, I am an elf. It's like, I was like, whoa.
That's so funny. And then let's go to the comparison of Bilbo Baggins when he's tempted by the ring.
Yes.
You have like a weird spaz face thing going on, and then you have one of my favorite jump scares in the series too. I love that jump scare.
Interesting. So did you like that jump scare in the series?
I liked it because it jump scared me the first time I watched it. And it every so often too, if I'm not paying attention or whatever, he goes, I was like, whoa.
Like I thought it did make me jump the first time I saw it, but then I thought for what a high class movie, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I thought that was kind of a cheesy jump scare because like he doesn't have any powers. He's not going to morph his face into like a Gollum looking creature. It got across that idea, but at the same time I was like, okay, that was weird. But I also thought it was interesting, the animated take on that too. It's just this crazy, and it's like if you put, I mean, thankfully I have no experience in this area, but if you held up a syringe full of heroin or drugs and had him right in front of an addict, you're just like, oh, just that internal, that internal battle. It's more of like that, which I thought was kind of more, it's like an addiction. You're addicted to that ring. And they definitely got that across in the live action as well. But I think that's what they're going for.
If you think about it too, for poor Bilbo, he had it for what, 60 years? And Smeagol had it for 300. So, I mean, if you do the math, like, there has to be some kind of creepiness inside of it.
Do the math. Do the fantasy math.
An African swallow can carry 2 coconuts.
Not if it's an African swallow, European swallow. But yeah, it was. But I thought it was an interesting idea. But obviously, the animation and the way that the person who was done for the animation,
it's so funny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
that
Bilbo character, I even noticed there was a couple scenes when he was like talking to Frodo and his back was turned, and he's like grabbing a different finger for like his whole like minute on frame. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Someone animated him like literally like grabbing like behind his back, and he's like
so
thinking.
It's like he wants it to be there. Yeah,
well, it's just like, what the heck? It's just like, gosh, to even animate that. I mean, obviously it's rotoscoped because how smooth and the fluid.
But still, rotoscoping, if you've ever done it, takes a long time.
Yes, it does to get it to work the right way. And our last one, part 2, we really dive into rotoscoping. And if you click there, I'll put in the cards and stuff like that. Check it out. It's so much fun. We go through the history of rotoscoping. We show some dark Disney secrets. Gotcha. I can't wait for the next series is going to be like the Council of Elrond, and we get to compare all the Fellowship characters, and maybe we'll get to John's favorite scene.
Yes.
So subscribe so you'll get notified when the new video comes out. We post 3 videos a week, so make sure to hit that bell too so you get notified. We have podcasts. We're doing some cool stuff on the website. We're kind of learning the whole cool web browsing, getting all technical with it. So
of all the things we do, the crazy visual effects, we're learning web stuff. Yeah. Our goal is to have that be a hub or whatever you want to find. Don't know what's out there. Boom, just pop over to AsArt.space. You find what you want. Really, really fun stuff. We're really enjoying these animated and live action scenes. So we're going to keep these going until we get through the whole film. And we'll see you on the next AsArt.
Do you think there's acid on the inside of the ring? You think that's how it works? Like there's just like a coat? Because like I know like Jimi Hendrix used to wear acid on like his headband to hoping it would like absorb into his pores. I'm telling you, man, because whenever he puts it on, it's like okay. Anyways,
you're crazy.
Oh yeah, you're crazy, man. But I like you.
I like you, man. You're crazy.